Well, when you frame it like this, it suddenly the Belt and Road becomes very clear as to what it is. It's colonialism. It's Chinese communist colonialism.
So there are two things. One, if you think about Sri Lanka, China's gone in and tried to protect their investment in Sri Lanka. In Myanmar, so you follow the story in Myanmar. China had a bunch of businesses, manufacturing facilities in Myanmar, except some people attacked those Chinese businesses. And so China said, well, we need to bring in our military to protect our assets. And so this is happening really around the globe. There are American think tanks and advisors and stuff. I just want to have a conversation with them. Are you kidding? They say, well, there's only one military base, and China only has one military base outside of China, and it's Djibouti. Okay, really? What planet are you on? In every one of these countries where the people in the country were not so happy about having China take over big swatches of land and move all these Chinese people in, China moved their military in to protect their investment.
What are some specific cities or ports where there's evidence of the Chinese military actually being there, just so the audience gets an idea of how widespread this is?
Well, for sure, Sri Lanka, because they've taken over lots of Sri Lanka's beach area, right?
Right. I mean, they've got the port Hambantota, which they somehow got a 99-year lease on after Sri Lanka couldn't pay its bills for the Belt and Road.
That's not the only port they have in Sri Lanka. So the string of pearls is Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Oman, Pakistan, Seychelles, Maldives, Kenya, Djibouti. They may not have a full-blown base, but they have military that are protecting their assets. This is kind of the same thing with the
maritime militia.
The maritime militia. They say, oh, well, China has fewer ships than us. Okay, I guess maybe fewer like really big ones. But if you have 17,000 distant water fleet, 17,000 boats that are militarized all around the planet, it's way more than any other country, maybe combined.
Just because they have, they're giant and have reinforced hulls and the people on board carry weapons doesn't mean they're military ships, right? I mean, they're just normal fishing boats.
Well, so this is the challenge of talking about the Chinese Communist Party. There is no separation between like private Chinese companies and the Chinese state. That also means there's really it's a blurry line between any company and the Chinese military. So there's always this sort of like plausible deniability they have. But because the lines are so blurred, really everything ties back to the Chinese Communist Party making decisions. And the military of China isn't the military of China, it's the armed wing of the Chinese Communist Party itself.
The United States is deceiving the American people in saying that we are the strongest, meanest, baddest, military, and we've got all of these facilities and everything. I mean, you probably read the report of the nuclear facilities that China's now building.
Oh, the new silos, yeah.
Yeah, they're doing more of that. So, but I mean, the shipping alone, just boating alone, when you look at a Philippine fishing vessel, they say, oh, well, the Chinese fishing vessel and the Philippine fishing vessel are right next to each other. Like, yeah, the Philippine fishing vessel looks like a tugboat or like I saw you on one of those Philippine fishing vessels, so I know you know what that's like. And then there's this China massive, like, militarized ship. I mean, you can't compare one to another.
Yeah, for the record, when I was standing on that little Filipino fishing boat looking at the huge Chinese boats at the Scarborough Shoal, I was not scared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, so we've definitely established that the Belt and Road is sort of this communist colonialism plan that's really creating a alternate global system to challenge the United States. But there is one major advantage the United States has, which is the U.S. dollar. Even most Belt and Road projects are done using U.S. dollars. However, and I know you're shaking your head because it's a chapter out of your book, China's push to get a digital currency. Tell us about that and how that really is like the final nail in the coffin, I guess.
China's goal, its stated goal, is to replace the dollar with the RMB. So, and it's not surprising that they want to do this with a digital yuan, right? So why would we want to take dollars to use for our projects when we can take our own money? And besides, the IMF declared that the RMB was a perfectly legitimate kind of money to be used for IMF projects. Really? Like, really? I mean, and one thing you haven't talked about at all, and that is the Arctic. China's gone into the Arctic because it calls itself a near Arctic state. It's in the Arctic and it's in Antarctica. But 30% of all the oil is in the poles, in the Arctic. And China's gone in there calling itself a near Arctic state and says it's going to be a polar power. They're not even at the poles. They got themselves on the Arctic Council in 2013. And they're taking over the Arctic as well. This is because it's a shorter route. The Northern Sea route is shorter to get to Europe. And so China's really got its fingers in a lot of pies right now. Digital yuan is one, and that will spread for sure. I don't think that there's a doubt as to whether or not the digital yuan will make its a real challenge to the U.S. dollar.
Right. So about the digital yuan, the U.S. has a fiat currency that's no longer backed by gold, and China has a fiat currency that's not backed by gold. What makes China's currency less legitimate than the U.S. currency?
Transparency. That's the best word I can use. There's no transparency in China. They cover everything. They do not share any information. You don't know what happened with the coronavirus. We won't ever know what happened with the coronavirus. We really don't know about a lot of their systems, and we don't know about the contracts that China's made with countries like in Africa. That's because they have a system that says don't tell, or else you'll regret it for the rest of your lives.
Right. So do we have data on like the Chinese money supply?
No, we don't have data on, we only have China's data. But China doesn't provide transparent data to anyone, just like the what happened with the coronavirus. I don't know what happened, so I'm not I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying we don't know, we won't know, but I can tell you I have friends that are in China right now, and they had more deaths than you thought, right? They don't share this information, and that's the problem with having a digital yuan that surpasses or supplants the U.S. dollar.
What's a problem a country can get into if they either adapt the digital yuan directly, or if they start say pegging their currency to the digital yuan, or use it as a base for their own currency? Like what's a specific like issue they could run into that they're not getting into now?
China controls them. They can move the money. They can change the value of their currency. You could, on a small level, and it's not a financial level in the same way, is if you think about Angola during the pandemic. Angola had all this oil, and China had these loans to Angola. And during the pandemic, the oil prices dropped, right? So this is kind of gives you an idea of this digital yuan scenario. The oil prices dropped, and that meant that Angola owed China so much more oil than they owed before, right? So if the if the price of oil drops in half, they owe twice as much oil to China. And this kind of happened with the prices of a lot of commodities during the pandemic. China raked in because their debt payments that were in resources were given back to China in spades. So if China changes its currency, then they can control what the prices are.